I would like to maybe share a little bit one story from the past life, but not in direct meaning, of course, from the lay life before ordination. So I had some experience working in the restaurant. And what do you think, in a restaurant, who is the most important person? Like, who is the most important profession in the restaurant? Chef. Yeah. And I'm sure every chef also thinks so. He's the most important in the restaurant. But interestingly, in that case, what I remember, like one lady, she was a lady who cleaned everything around, like clean restaurant, clean the dishes, clean whole things around. She didn't came that day. And amazingly, that day it was almost like everything kind of fall apart because she didn't came. Because the chef and the kitchen was very kind of proud. We're not going to clean everything. We're cooking guys. It's not our business. People who work in the hall, like people who wait and other guys, they also say no, it's not our business. Administration, of course, like no one really wants to do it. But before restaurant to open, of course, it needs to be clean, like in the morning. So it was really on the edge, kind of that everything fall apart and kind of we cannot open. Of course, finally we found a way how to do it, and everything was okay. But why I'm telling this story? Because I heard from one monk, the saying says like everything what made of parts is falling apart. So if something made of many components, if some system very complex, it will definitely fall apart sooner or later, and there is like a lot of possibilities for the system to fall apart. The more component we have, the more complex the system, the more higher chance for system to fall apart, the more higher maintenance the system required. So same way with any kind of business or any work, if your kind of system or company very complex, you in danger. Of course there are ways, there are mechanisms or tools how to make the system more stable, but you need to invest some time, some money to this, so it's much more complex. Same way as this human body, how many organs we have inside, how many parts, and how many ways how this body can go wrong. We can have knee problem, leg problem, arm problem, head problem, organs like stomach problem, heart problem, lungs problem, and so on. Skin problem, like blood problem. I don't know. I think whole 15-20 minutes I can just speak about different kind of diseases and different kind of disorders what can happen with human body. And why? Because this is very complex and difficult system. It's like have a lot of, I don't know to what we can compare this human body. It's so complex. And of course, because it's so complex, every small part can really go bad. So in suttas, we have this idea, there is a list where all experience we're supposed to see and reflect on it as a boil, as a dart, as impermanent, as non-self, and so on. So the huge list. And this list supposed to be the list of kind of vipassana exercise. So you reflect on things and you can get free. So you can get kind of strong disenchantment. You can get understanding to the reality of things. And one of those things is exactly this, like to be able to look at things as something what falling apart, what kind of disintegrating. And it's exactly like this. So if I see on experience, for example, in some suttas says like experience of seeing coming from the eye as an organ and also form. So I see some forms with the eye, and there is eye consciousness and there is experience of seeing. So if like two parts of it, like eye and the form, are impermanent and naturally falling apart, so the whole experience, because it's made of this part, this also falling apart. Made of part, falling apart, So, and like with the experience of seeing, it's not so touching, it's not so insightful. But we know from suttas that from passa, from experience of seeing, from contact, arise some vedana, some feelings, arise some perception, then arise some intention. So I see some things, I feel pleasant, or I hear some things, I feel unpleasant, and I want to run away from the place. Yeah, or I see some pleasant things, I remember something from my childhood, and I want to take it, like some food on the table. It's everything kind of conditioned by some causes in the past, and this is already something touchy, because we experience this every time, and these things made our life actually, it makes us a humans, it makes us, that's who we are. I mean, not ultimately, but who we feel we are, because we feel that we are creatures, kind of have a habits, have intentions, have a desires, have a kind of natural way. Okay, I like these things, I don't like that things. I associate with people who I love, and naturally people who I love, we kind of tend to usually love the same things, because usually people make friends with people with a similar kind of minds. I have an interest study Dhamma, I naturally speak with people who study Dhamma. So we kind of have the same liking in a way. But all this liking, actually, it's falling apart. It's just made of part. Yeah, it's really come from, like, now I like these things. I like I don't know, green trees. I like some kind of food. But again, if the condition are change, if for example I'm sick, yeah, or if I don't know, something happened, I have a call from my family and something happened in the home, I can lose my appetite. Yeah, I can change my perception. Okay, both green, whatever, like all these things, they're not kind of enjoying anymore because I have some problem in the back of my mind. So the conditions are very kind of complex, and if one thing we expect from ourselves to follow the similar patterns what before. Another thing we can also expect other people. Like if I know I have some friend who always interested in some Dhamma, and he always supports me, but one day he came and he not supporting me actively. Yeah, he not scolding me maybe, but he's kind of very passive and don't make jokes, but usually he very funny guy. And I would start to, like, what's wrong with you, like, why you're not my friend anymore. I start to kind of project the past experience for now. I start to expect from him something, rather than just ask him, what's going on, maybe you need some help, maybe something happened in your life, you kind of behave differently in a way. Kind of remembering that all these things, all experience what I have, all experience what other people may influence on me, is kind of made of a lot of components. It's made of a lot of causes and conditions. And like, it's like Bhante Devamitta always say on his retreats, we, by seeing causes and effect, we rewire our brain. Or in another word, we make a condition for our mind to see on things differently. So usually we tend to see, like, okay, I have a desire, I go for it. But if we reflect on every things what arise, what cause, what condition, and the things may be very kind of small and maybe at the beginning insignificant. For example, I see some that the things what I speak, I did reflect in the past. I mean, it's obvious things, yeah, of course. Of course, everything what we speak, we kind of thought through, or even randomly this idea occurred in my mind. But if I pay attention on it, I made a kind of sanya, they call it, like anicca sanya or anatta sanya, the way how I look at things. I look at things, I see the cause, yeah, and everything what arises, I try to see what's the cause, what condition, why it's come. It can be intellectual reflection, like really intellectually I think, okay, it's come from this and that, and I see whole chain, But it can be more spontaneous, with experience, as again, I would rely on Bhante Devamitta, he has a lot of experience. So with experience can really, if person rewire his brain, if person really condition his mind to see causes and condition, it would be more natural. Again, experience arise and naturally, oh, it's come from there. And since the person can see where it's come from, it's not so my anymore. Yeah, it's not so touchy. It's not so driving me to do this. When I see a desire to take things, and if I see, okay, it's come because my grandmother gave me in my childhood these things, I would kind of hold on. I would not really follow the desire so blindlessly. I would say, okay, things are conditioned. And if things are conditioned, I can recondition myself. So I was conditioned in the past, I can recondition myself now. So everything kind of in my hands in a way. So again, kind of reflection, like a small takeaway, what I want to say is that every time when you see the complex matter or complex things, even this, that complex as our desire and our feelings, it's a lot of complex things happening here. Just this small reflection may arise. Everything what made of parts is falling apart, and this already, like, and try to verify it on your experience. Is it true? Is it really everything, or there is something what not falling apart? So it's just for your reflection.